We have a rule in our weight room where every coach needs to be there. Once the athletes see, it's not just Coach Mike there, my head coach is there, my assistant coach is there. It shows that they care about them trying to get better and also helps the buy-in with the athletes. Building that team camaraderie, and they see all the improvements on the data live feed of all the green numbers, PR numbers. Coaches love stats, so they like the buy-in with.
Welcome to the next episode of the Tully Legends podcast on the Coaching Coordinator Network, presented by our partner, Tully. At this time of the year, the off-season program is the focus, and Tully helps staffs get more out of the season by making standards visible, tracking the work, and tightening the feedback loop. This series highlights coaches and performance leaders who are building strong programs the right way, with clear standards, measurable accountability, and consistent feedback. Each guest you'll hear on this podcast has used Tully to collect more than 10,000 data points within their program over the past year. This isn't about numbers for the sake of numbers, it's about clarity, it's about visibility, it's about creating an environment where athletes understand expectations, see their progress, and take ownership of their development. The coaches featured here are not chasing technology trends. They're using simple, practical tools to strengthen communication, increase buy-in, and build cultures rooted in measurable growth. Throughout this series, you'll hear how tracking has become an integrated part of daily coaching, driving motivation, reinforcing standards, and helping athletes and parents clearly see development over time. This isn't about replacing coaching, it's about equipping coaches with better feedback systems. Let's get into today's conversation.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Tully Legends podcast. Very excited today to have our guest, Mike Oziomek, the Director of Strength Conditioning at Cuyahoga Falls High School up in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Close neighbor of Walsh Jesuit High School where I attended, and Mike and I have gotten to know each other over the last few years, and we've really been able to sort of see this program grow, Mike, that you guys have been building. So excited to dive into it today, kind of hear it all from your perspective and learn more about what you're building. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Mike, tell us obviously your background first and foremost, and then talk about sort of the program. I'd love to start with the program you inherited when you got to Falls a few years ago. What did that look like? Then maybe kind of a snapshot now to what does it look like today? Where are you guys at? And then we kind of dig in some of those details.
I'm also a Walsh Jesuit alum. The reason why I got into it is because of your brother, Coach Redmond at Walsh Jesuit. Really inspired me to be a strength coach. Helped him for a few years at Walsh Jesuit, also being a track and field coach there. So that really lit my fire. I got my bachelor's from the University of Akron, worked under Tim Campbell for a little bit as an intern, and then I landed up here. When I inherited the program, there was nobody using the weight room, just head coaches running it, doing whatever they think best. Walked in, one coach was deadlifting, squatting, and benching in one day. Wasn't flying with me. So I started out here with the swim team. We had 33 athletes. So I had about 33 athletes for the first 2 months. And then everyone started asking, oh, who's this guy using the weight room? We want to use him. So we started with 33 first year. Second year, we had about 150. And right now, we have about 300 varsity high school athletes in Tully Tracker and in our program. And we're moving towards next year. We're going to have a parent meeting, and we're going to have about 600, maybe even 700 athletes in our program. We're hoping for next year for year 4.
Awesome. That's kind of the dream story. And I've heard it more than maybe you'd expect, but it's pretty awesome to kind of hear and see that growth. I mean, starting with literally a single team and kind of going from there and coming into an environment that we see all the time. I mean, it's across the country, public schools, private schools, it really doesn't matter. I think it's kind of the state of things often is, ADs and sport coaches trying to just kind of leave it in the hands of those coaches. Maybe there's 1 or 2 people who play college sports or have a little bit of background, some exposure to strength conditioning, and tried their best, to their credit, to kind of implement a system. But when you sort of realize it's the status quo, so people don't always realize that maybe there's something better, or they think that, this dream scenario, this college experience with these strength coaches, that's something that's not possible for us. But we both know, Cuyahoga Falls is not some massive school. It's not a massive city. Like, you guys don't have an endless budget. Like, talk about going from that single team. Like, what was the buy-in like? What was the experience? Like, in conversations you had with other coaches, were they receptive to you being there? Like, how quickly did they kind of jump in? Or, what was that, the friction or hurdles you had to get through to kind of build momentum?
I'll start with our coaches right now. Our coaches have really bought into the process. The more we show what we can do, how we train, the different types of equipment we brought in, and the true relationships we build with the athletes too, and they slowly bought in. We still have one or two that are still pushing against it, but I think they're going to jump on the bus here pretty soon. They really like the program. They really appreciate all that we do, and we're continuing to grow. As you've seen, the buy-in with the kids, the boys instantly bought in for the most part. They love lifting. They love being in the room. They love the energy. The girls are the hard part, trying to build that relationship the right way and showing that you care, showing that it's more than just a room for the boys. It's their room too. They need to own up to it. They need to appreciate it and just make it theirs. And having their own little lifting times to be with their friends. And I don't want to say be more lenient towards them, but having more fun with them and playing more games and showing that training is fun has really pushed the buy-in with the girls in our program more than the guys. The guys, you can push a little bit more, be more on them and a bit more stricter. You can use your coaching voice a little bit more at them. But the girls, you got to be a little bit more patient with and show that you truly care.
Again, I hear that all the time. I think we find programs who don't have a strength coach or something defined. It's usually like that the football uses the weight room because that's been football culture for 50 years that you got to lift in the off season, maybe wrestling. There's a couple kind of the more macho, big, mirror type teams that I was in that phase too. Like, kids like to lift. They want to get big and strong. They want all of that. But obviously there's a lot of other sports. I mean, male sports as well, but mostly those female sports where that's not really the culture of the sport. And that's not what they're trying to do. That's not the goal. And so when you walk by a weight room, 50 football players shirtless, screaming and maxing out, you probably feel like that's not my space. And like you said, so yeah, I think that understanding from your perspective and the coaches who've had success, kind of getting everyone engaged is that's meeting the athletes where they are. We see that all the time. Like, it's the same level of competition, motivation. They're motivated athletes. They want to get better, but there's kind of different culture. There's different stages to that process for them and understanding. And so, we've heard games, we've heard the gamification, so I've heard the female athletes can be way more competitive than the male athletes. So, like, kind of putting those numbers in front of them, and they're more interested in competing against themselves, to move forward than like competing against each other. And so, we've kind of heard all those different perspectives on it. Is that kind of an example of something you guys did? And you talk about like games or rankings or showing data like that you really felt like was a turning point with the female athletes?
So we have two TVs in the weight room. One is to show the lift, show what they're doing. And the other one, exactly like you're saying, we have a data live feature on Tully where whatever we do, it's always a competition. If it's from single arm rows to benching to squatting to sprinting, we've been getting into neurological timing with our eyes. That's a competition now. Who can do it the fastest from A to Z? Can you do it the quickest on your right eye compared to your left eye? And the girls compete at that too. Our warm-ups, we play games. We compete in our warm-ups. We do all those types of things just to show them how to compete, show the data live feed from every inch to every lift.
That's awesome. We talk about this a lot, and I've had this conversation with a lot of coaches. It's athletes are smart. High school students are smart. Like, everything you do as a coach, you're signaling to your athletes what's important, right? So if a girl is an athlete or another sport who's not used to the weight room walks in, they just see like a single scoreboard with max out, top deadlifts of all time. Again, like, that space doesn't feel like it's for me. And when you signal like you do, kind of, hey, we're going to track, even these different games, or maybe there's like specific movements or patterns or agility drills that different sports like to do. When we signal like, hey, this is important to us, we're going to track it. I'm going to show you the feedback. That makes it valuable. They realize, hey, coach cares about this. Coach cares just like we do. He's got our back. This is kind of a place that we should be improve. I'm sure you feel that with your sport coaches as well, right? I mean, that assumption, football, we're all trying to shirk that football, culture a little bit. That's been my life, but sort of, I'm sure sport coaches, like, is this just a football coach? Are they just going to be doing the football lifts? And I don't want my baseball kids doing that. My basketball kids, I don't, everyone's going to turn into a barrel with a big chest and big biceps. Like, I assume that's the same with your sport coaches, right? Like the types of feedback that you can curate for them. Is that something you focused on, or how do you bring them into the fold and make those sport coaches feel like, this room's for them too?
For every lift at the beginning of our off season, I go up to the coaches and I ask them, what do you want to see? What do you want need to be improved? What did we do well last off season? What could we work on? So we also help them be a part of the program and how we program. So getting their feedback, getting their changes really helps what I do, which helps them with their athletes perform. Also, we have a rule in our weight room where every coach needs to be there. I don't care if, which is say the wrestling team's in there, at least one assistant or head coach has to be there because once the athletes see, oh, it's not just Coach Mike there, my head coach is there, my assistant coach is there, it shows that they care about them trying to get better and also helps the buy-in with the athletes. So building that team camaraderie, building that team up, that's how we get the coaches to buy in. And they see all the improvements on the data live feed of all the green numbers, PR numbers. Coaches love stats, so they like the buy-in with.
Yeah, that's signaling. Like if the head coach is going to show up to the lift, like, or any of your coaches, okay, it's important. Like they care, because if a head coach tells you, hey, make sure you guys get to lift, and then the coach doesn't go, you don't have to say anything else. It's obvious that they don't care that much about it. They don't care if you show up or not. Even if they yell at you afterwards, it's like you weren't there. So it really isn't that important to you, to see it. I'm glad you guys do that, and it obviously shows, but we talk all the time. I mean, I've said that to my brother and other coaches. It's like, let those coaches see what you guys are doing. Like all the work you're putting in, that's like a disservice to you guys when, or any strength coaches or anyone who's running the weight room, when those coaches be like, oh yeah, like, sounds like the kids did a good job today. It's like, no, you come in here and see, this 45 minutes of work and how hard we're going and I got them juiced up. And like, that's kind of what, your guys' performance. And I'm always talking to strength coaches. It's like, you guys are humble usually, and you kind of stay in your lane, but to kind of have the opportunity to pump up, like, no, like we own this space and we're doing some awesome things and making sure everybody knows it and they're not able to kind of shy away from that and just like assume it happened naturally. Like, no, this didn't happen naturally. Like we did a lot of work, to make that happen.
Before the rest of this conversation, a quick note about Tully. Many coaches assume performance tracking systems are built for Division I budgets or full-time sports scientists. That assumption is outdated. Tully was built specifically for high school programs, private training facilities, and small performance staffs that want clarity without complexity. The platform allows coaches to collect and organize training data, monitor progress, track attendance and accountability, and share meaningful feedback with athletes and parents all in one place. Programs using Tully consistently report 3 outcomes: higher athlete engagement, stronger accountability, increased parent visibility, and trust. Most importantly, coaches regain time because the system centralizes information instead of scattering it across spreadsheets and whiteboards. If you believe feedback should drive development, but you've assumed technology was too complicated or too expensive to implement, Tully was designed specifically to remove those barriers. Visit tully.app to see how simple performance tracking can transform your program.
You and I had a conversation maybe a year or so ago, but kind of about the parents' perspective.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned, whether through the athletes or you directly kind of sharing feedback with parents. Talk about that. Maybe you mentioned having a parent meeting here to like expand the program. Like, how have you approached parents? We've heard a lot of times people are sort of leery of engaging with parents, or kind of keep it in the black box, keep them at arm's length. You're afraid of over interfering. How have you looked at that? How has it gone? Like, what's been the positives, negatives for you?
All the parents so far that I've met are awesome. They really care about their kids. They really show up for them. They do everything they can. Most of the time actually asking me questions. How can I feed my kid a little bit better? How can I get them on time? How can I do this? And we've actually seen parents come up to us, me and my interns and the athletic staff, and said, my kid is starting to act better at home. They're starting to get higher GPAs. They're starting to do more. They want to be more adventurous. They want to do different things with their schooling career. So we've actually seen an uptick in performance in their academics, and the parents actually seeing the progress we do besides getting them bigger, faster, stronger. They're becoming better people. Another way, just like you were saying with our parent meeting, I want to reach as many parents as we can in the high school. It's a community. We're a public school, not a private school. We want to show our face. We want to be at every event. We want to show the parents we care just as much as they do. And if they know we back the kids as much as they do, they'll trust us more and more. With the parent meeting, we want to show face, say, oh, this is who I am. So if you see me at a basketball event, don't be shy. Just come up and say hi to me or say hi to our athletic trainer, Mr. Houston. Just being there more for the kids. We're starting to instill the parent account with our Tully tracker. So the parents can actually see what they're doing, how much they're progressing. Which is say a parent looks at their kid and they're like, they're not progressing as much as we can. Oh, we can sit down and talk about their progress and their effort in the weight room. And you can actually see the true light of the situation of why they're not progressing. Or we can bring in different data points of, hey, they're really stressed out. They have a high workload. They're not sleeping. They're not eating right. Their weight's dropping. There's a bigger significant issue behind why their performance is dropping. So yeah, we've had great relationships, knock on wood, so far with parents. We haven't had a complaint with a parent yet. So it's been a real blessing.
To just kind of speak really candidly, I feel like it's not surprising because you've knocked down all those barriers and those walls and you've made it really transparent and obvious. And like, we're not hiding anything. This is what we do. And I think a lot of times when you dig into, you hear all these bad situations or parents disgruntled, it's like usually the parent who's calling, complaining is like, has never been to a lift. They've never seen what you're actually doing. They're actually probably not even having, operating from any real facts. Like they're just sort of assuming this is what you see. And that comes from kind of the secrecy of it. And we don't let parents in. It leads to kind of speculation and some negative thoughts. Again, I think you've embraced it in such a great way. And every program we talk to, again, across the country, doesn't matter, large, small, like when we see coaches who do that, it's always net positive. It's almost always across the board positive for everybody. Because like you said, parents, they want the best for their kids. And you guys are showing we want the best for your kids. And we're not hiding behind, these walls and locking you out and making you worry what we're doing. Like, make them a part of it. I mean, sound like you made them an asset to your success and, building that momentum in the program, which to now, fast forward to now, I mean, sounds like you're kind of getting that weight room and that, investment from the school and the administration. Talk about that and how did it lead to this expansion of the new weight room and what are you looking forward to there?
So yeah, we used to work out in an old mechanic shop, about 2,000 square with 8 racks, leaking ceiling. The floor was coming up, but what I was always told is do your best and be positive from my old strength coaches, and that's what we did. We did our best. We were positive through every training session, even though some kids didn't want to use the equipment because it was a little dirty or a little disgusting. We made everything work. We did our best to make everything work. We actually started seeing a lot of progress, and our athletic director and our superintendent started seeing that progress of, hey, this is what we have. This is what I'm using. This is how I'm using it. And just imagine what we could do if we had a state of the art facility that a lot of schools around us have, like Walsh, Hoban, and seeing all the athletic production they've been doing. And I still believe that we had a talk with the superintendent is the centerpiece of all the athletics isn't the football field. It isn't the basketball court. It isn't the swimming pool. It's the weight room. And that's how it's all built. And the culture is built through the weight room. And they've really bought into that process of seeing, one, our progress in our lifts, in our sprints, in our jumps, seeing the attendance grow, seeing the parents buy in, seeing the teachers buy in, and they finally say, yes, we're going to forego and go forward with this weight room. And we're going into about a 4,500 square foot weight room, 20 rack facility, all the pulley systems you want. And they've truly believed and they've bought into the program that we're trying to keep on building up.
It's awesome. Made a great point. There's really not a coach or a space on a campus at a high school, college, whatever, that gets more touch points with athletes than that weight room. And you get time, you get sometimes 8, 9 months out of the year with athletes, and their coaches only get them for a few, and you get to see them kind of day in, day out. You get to see that development, so nail on the head of like a weight room and kind of your athlete development space being so important. But I talk to ADs all the time. I mean, almost every day I talk to ADs, and it seems I haven't met one yet who isn't interested in providing, resources and frankly spending money for their coaches on things that they need and that will help. Like, they're looking for those opportunities. The challenge is always like they have to sit there and do the audit. Like, is this going to be used? Are we going to get the most out of this? Because they have to make sure every expense and budget is all allocated responsibly. And so you guys, I think, are the perfect, I mean, just the textbook case that I think we need to write up and spread around the country of like, hey, look, we'll start in that old shop, and doesn't matter our resources. We'll start with one team. In a few years, we're going to show you that we've got everybody basically in the schools coming in here, and parents are excited, sport coaches are excited, athletes are excited, and then it's like, okay, great, you did the hard work for the AD and the superintendent himself, like no brainer, yeah, absolutely, here you go. What do you need, Mike, to make this happen? What do we need to go take this to the next level? I'm sure they're excited about it, and to give you kind of the praise as sort of, and I know it's a lot of people and a lot of people working hard, but it's it sounds like from your vision and your ability to kind of get everybody pulling in the right direction. That's the natural next step, and it's not surprising, to see with the program you built. Before we got on, I said, this wouldn't happen a few years ago, right? Without when you found this program and there was one, they wouldn't just buy this really nice weight room for sport coaches to kind of go, wade through. So, I mean, congratulations on sort of making that happen and finding a way. Now it's the hard question. So I always kind of want to ask our guests, our coaches. So now, kind of, you did it at Falls, but what would be your advice to other schools, other programs? I mean, love them to be able to find kind of that diamond in the rough, Coach Mike, who can come in there and kind of bootstrap this thing and bring a lot of knowledge, expertise, and resources. Maybe they don't have that. Maybe they have some outstanding coaches. But if I'm an AD or a coach who wants to bring this to my school, like, what's your advice? Kind of the basics, maybe to start with. Is it trying to build strength conditioning into a part of your day that's consistent? Is it are there resources online or things that they should be doing to get certified? Like, what would you recommend? And kind of take through your advice.
So I would first go look at the National High School Strength and Conditioning Association. Great resource. A lot of people on there that help me out. Just in Ohio, you have Logan Neff down in Cincinnati with Pete Colby. And then I've talked to Mike Winkler at Kinley, and of course, Matt Redman at Walsh Jesuit, Nick Cook at CVCA. They're there to help you. And if you have any questions, they'll help you. They'll literally message you within 10 minutes. It'll be right there. And they'll jump on a phone call. Everyone's here to help this profession to progress and to do its best. And we want everyone to succeed. Getting simple certificates. I know they have a certificate for strength and conditioning for great basic knowledge. You have the CSCS, but try and push one of the sports coach, if it's the bare minimum to get that CSCS. Now it's progressing into you actually need a degree. So maybe even just an NHSSCA certificate, just so they have background knowledge of how to actually perform strength movements and to actually program strength movements. But number one is that relationship around your school of different strength coaches. So an AD can come up and call me and I can talk all about it. I remember a few months ago, VASJ's AD called me and said, how do I help my weight room to progress? And we had a good hour to 2 hour conversation.
I don't think ADs and coaches do that. They look online, or they go kind of pay for seminars. And I mean, you can call maybe not the rival you're going to play in every sport, and across the street might not tell you all the secrets. But I really haven't met a strength coach yet in Ohio or across the country who's like, they'll send you their whole program. Like, I mean, like, they'll send you an Excel. Here's our workout. Like, here's how it goes. Like, just happy to help, happy to communicate. And there's such great resources. And again, for you guys, I know in a few years, probably there's going to be a smaller school looks at Falls and says, well, they have that weight room. They've got, Coach Mike, their director of strength and conditioning. Like, we're not that program. But I think that's why it's so cool and exciting to kind of share this story and say, that's not what it always was. And it's been built, piece by piece, with obviously you taking the lead on it and others. So being able to kind of communicate that, hopefully, our goal with Tully has always been to make this possible for as many coaches and programs as we can, to kind of give them at least one of the tools that will make, build the engagement, the buy-in along the way. But the end goal is to kind of raise everybody up and not have any programs kind of wading through, mediocrity or unsafe situations, because there's so much that these schools and programs, like you guys have done, can deliver for athletes and bring real value. So, again, Mike, I think it's just been awesome to kind of watch you guys grow and expand, develop, and and see this new facility come in. I know it's just going to continue to maximize that output. Your generosity, again, communicating around the state. So along with this, we'll make sure to share Mike's information, be able to emails, reach out. But anything for you, as we kind of sign off, anything you kind of want to plug or talk about? I mean, you mentioned the NHSSCA, but like clinics you're going to this year, books you're reading, anything that's like, been your eye lately that you're just kind of the next step?
Clinics, I'm going to the Youngstown State Clinic. That's going to be a great one. I'll be at the NHSSCA National Clinic up in Milwaukee. And I'll be in July 19th. I'll be down at the University of Cincinnati for their clinic. So I'll be there. If you see me, I'm more than welcome to talk to you guys. Some books I've been rethinking, Return to Play. That's a great book. And then that's what I've been diving into right now.
Well, cool. Well, Mike Oziomek, Director of Strength and Conditioning at Cuyahoga Falls High School. Really appreciate the time. Again, congratulations. Looking forward to continuing to have a front row seat to all this growth and development with you guys.
That wraps up this episode of the Tully Legends podcast. The common thread across every guest in this series is not budget size, staff size, or access to elite facilities. It's intentionality. The most successful programs create clarity, define standards, measure what matters, and give athletes consistent feedback. The result is stronger culture, greater ownership, and more sustained performance gains. If today's conversation challenged the belief that data tracking is only for large programs, that's the point. Practical technology, when implemented with purpose, amplifies good coaching rather than complicating it. For more conversations with coaches building measurable, accountable programs, subscribe to the Tully Legends podcast and find our articles on Tully on coachandcoordinator.com. Until next time, continue building with intention.